Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so honored to be sitting here chatting with you. This is an awesome Tuesday. Um,
Thank
and yes, and my name is Dontaira Terrell, and I know your time is limited, so I'm just going to jump right in. And I just want to first start by asking, how are you doing today, like right now in this very moment?
I'm great, actually. I'm really great. I don't know, just in a good space right now. Thank you for asking.
Of course. And I love to hear that you're in a good space.
Mhm.
And so we are going to jump into your latest project, which is Being Seen podcast. So in the first
Mhm.
episode, the theme is power. Now, was there a moment in your life when you felt powerless? And if so, can you speak more about that moment?
Oh, I mean, I feel powerless all the time. I think my business is such that you never really feel like you have power. It's a business that tells you on this side of the table no every single day. So every day you go out there and you do your best and you never hear back. You know what I mean? Until the time that you do. And then that's exciting. But the amount of times that you don't hear back from people, or it's a no, or it's whatever, it consistently makes you feel powerless, which is an interesting space to function in.
I totally can relate just being in this journalism space and, interview requests or making TV appearances. They're like, no, actually, you're not the right fit. I'm like, really? I thought I was great. Okay. So in those moments, how do you empower yourself or regain your power when you are feeling down or you're feeling powerless?
Well, I'm glad you said that because it doesn't always make you feel down. And I think that's just because it's a constant state of being for actors, which is unfortunate, but that's just the truth of the matter. But there are times when it does make you feel very down and it makes you feel um, less than or unnecessary or unwanted in some ways. It can. And I think it's really important to fill your life with other things, to have other interests, to have friends outside of the business, but as well as friends inside who can understand. And when you're just like, it's important to me to get out of the house, to go do physical things, to spend time focused on other people, because that is such an constant insular type of thought pattern to be in. So those are things that I find important in those times. And I feel like if you can go take a walk wherever, down the street, on the mountain, by the ocean, wherever, it can release you from a circular thought pattern or a circular feeling, because it just shakes something actually physically free. So those are things that I do.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned just stepping away from your zone because you're constantly on. And just, being with friends, being with family, just stepping away from your day to day. So what is your proudest moment away from the limelight?
Mm. What is my proudest moment away from the limelight? That's a good question. I am I'm a really good auntie. I have some little people in my life, and I was a child 5 years ago, which brought me to tears because the friends who asked me, they take that very seriously. This is not about who can give my kid the best gifts. It's, if something were to happen, this is who I want to entrust my child to. And I was really, really moved by that in a way that I didn't think I don't know, I never really thought about it. But it was really thrilling to me. And I take it very seriously, and I love those children very, very much. And so that was a really proud moment for me. And I'm really grateful that somebody trusts me and loves me enough to love me with their children.
Mm,
That's beautiful.
yes. I was excited yesterday because I got picture mail from my goddaughter in Atlanta. And I mean, I almost dropped my phone. I was so excited to receive it. But also to your point about being like a great auntie, the reason why I'm in South Florida right now is because I surprised my niece and flew down here to take her trick-or-treating, her and her best friend and my niece's friend.
Uh,
So I don't know who's more excited, me or them, but
anytime you can spend time with your niece or nephew, it's a really fun thing because it's a different space of being, you know, because you're not their parent. So your conversation with them is going to be different. Your sense of responsibility with them is going to be different. And sometimes they trust you with things that they may not trust their parents with, not because they're sneaky, but sometimes, you know, you were a child, you don't want to tell everything to your parents. You want an outside point of view. Mm-hmm. And it's a really beautiful place to be able to inhabit.
For sure. And as an award-winning actress and storyteller, you know, you have to allow yourself to fully feel the emotions of the script in order to integrate yourself into the roles and characters you take on. But I'm curious, personally, do you extend yourself the same grace and allow yourself to fully feel your emotions when needed?
Oh, girl, yes, I feel things.
Do share.
Things, and I think it's important to do so. Now, are there times where I'm like, okay, well, we have things to do. I have to move on. Let me touch base with that moment later. Absolutely, but I don't deny myself how I feel about something, and I don't expect the people around me in my life to do that either. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's a fair thing to do to people. Even if you disagree with how they feel, you have to let people feel what they feel. And once they finish feeling it, then maybe you can assist them in, you know, finding another way to feel something else or seeing something else. But that's something it's important. People should be allowed to feel how they feel. And the world around you spends too much time telling you how you should feel. So the people you love and who love you, it's their space to give you your space to feel something. Now, sometimes people feel a lot and you like, oh girl, you still there. You still.
Yeah, you're still there.
And that's understandable. And then, you know, then you maybe want to have a conversation with that person and be like, all right, now we've been sitting in this funk for some time. What are we going to do? Mm-hmm. Are we going to go to therapy and address it? Are we going to find a way to move to another space? Or if it's not our business, depending on the state of the relationship, then maybe it's time for you to just ease on and let that person feel what they feel.
Right. Definitely a healthy balance, having to learn. Mm-hmm. Yes. And in tackling the role of Regina and Maid, what have you learned or relearned about yourself throughout the process of bringing that character to life?
Oh, you know what? It's really fun to play mean people because you don't want to be mean in life, but it's fun to explore that space and be able to play with it and to find also the other side of that person and the thing that makes them. What is the thing that's making them be that way, to have those feelings, to feel like they need to be that way and operate in that space? And I don't know that I knew that about myself because I played jukebox and Power, and that couldn't have been more fun. But so I don't know. I don't know that I learned what I learned from her yet, and maybe it's just too soon. And sometimes you don't learn from a character. Sometimes you just jump in and you do it, and the experience is what it is, and that's fine too. You know, it's different. It's different every time.
And you know what? I totally forgot. I had a whole intro laid out, and I am a fellow Rattler. And that was definitely part of my, how can I forget that part? Yes, hey Rattler. So my next question is actually about FAMU. And how did FAMU help prepare you to own your space in the world?
Did you have to register for classes?
Did I?
You remember that journey?
Woo,
that's perseverance right there.
Listen. Listen.
In all seriousness though, I had some wonderful people at FAM, including Dr. Valencia Matthews, who assisted me in my my preparation for grad school as I was leaving FAM. And she just was always somebody who made sure that you knew that preparation was key. And that's a really, if you don't know that going into school, it's a wonderful tool and awareness to take away as you leave, because there's nobody going to be assisting you as you leave and step into the real world. You have to figure out how. I mean, there will be people who will help you, but you know what I mean? You don't have, there's no like TA who's going to be like, okay, so let me tutor you with this, that. No, that's not how life works. So it's up to you to figure out how to be prepared. And maybe that means finding somebody to assist you in your journey who knows more than you do. But you have to find a way to do that. And so I'm really grateful for the way that she assisted me in moving me towards my next step. And the fact that I was a theater major, not a drama major, which is different. We didn't have a drama major. So a theater major, I was somebody who did everything in the theater. If I wasn't acting, I was doing costume, or I was taking a directing class, or I was doing set design or lighting and things like that. And I think that really, really prepared me for a life in the theater and the life on film as well, because I am so aware of the things that people do around me to make sure that my job can happen and that it can happen with as much ease as possible. And so I'm so grateful for the people that I think sometimes aren't seen or aren't recognized, because they're making my life easier. You know what I mean? And I think that very often we forget that there are people who make the wheels turn so that you can say, ooh, what a fancy car. And that's something that I learned while I was there through the work that I did.
Yeah, I had Dr. Valencia Matthews for a course, and she definitely put me in my place when I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Full accountability, she definitely put me in my place. And let me just say, I never did that again. So now, what advice can you give to young Black women who are learning, or not just young Black women, just women in general? What advice can you give to women who are learning to love and be gentle with themselves throughout this journey called life? Because it's not easy.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Mm-hmm. And recognize that loving yourself doesn't mean liking everything about yourself. What it means is looking at all of those facets of yourself, finding a way to not beat yourself up about the things that you don't like or the things that aren't quite finished yet, and giving yourself the grace to find a way to change the thing you don't like about yourself, to recognize it, to say it out loud. It's okay to be like, this is something I need to work on, and then work on it. Loving yourself doesn't mean, oh, I'm perfect, I'm great, I'm perfect just the way I am. Well, you are, because God made you that way, but there are things we all need to work on, you know? And I think that self-evaluation is a really important tool in life. I did a lot of it during the quarantine, a lot of just looking and thinking and retracing my steps and reorganizing how I wanted to move forward in the world after something as completely wild and devastating as the pandemic, which we're still in. So after is not a real word, is it? Particularly for you in Florida. So that's what I'd say. Just keep trying, keep going. Know that it's not something that you have to do by yourself, that's the reason therapy was made. And I keep saying therapy because Black people, and specifically Black people, are so often very opposed to this tool that can be very helpful to us. And I understand why we might be distrustful of that process, but it is a process that for some people will save their lives. Mm-hmm. So I say, try it. We can't do everything on our own. Our friends are not professionals, unless they are, and they don't always know how to assist us, and you don't always need to share every single thing with your friends. Friends come and go. You know, I really just like to encourage people when they feel that they cannot get it on their own, if they feel like they're in the same circle, to look out a therapist who cannot share your information, or look up a life coach. Now that person can share your information. So that's about changing your life and doing life skills. A therapist is about doing your own personal work and changing your journey and your habits, and, you know, recognizing what has made you feel the way you feel and why you're in the space that you are. And both of those things, all of those things can be assisted.
Yes, I love when people like you utilize your platform to encourage therapy. I started therapy a few years ago, and I'm like, why didn't I start this sooner? What the heck? I just felt so much weight lifted. I felt lighter, you know, tangible like resources and just valuable feedback, and just seeing things from a different lens has helped me tremendously, even in the way, instead of reacting to something, it's totally different. So
and this is somebody who has no skin in the game. They don't have an agenda. Their only agenda is to assist you. And that's important. That's important.
It really is. And this is my last question. And I want to ask, ending with the podcast, what do you hope people take away from this project?
Ooh, I hope that people learn something new. I hope that people are enhanced by the experiences of the women that I'm speaking to. I hope that people gain a broader respect for the journey of Black women and the spaces that we inhabit. But mostly I hope that people listen, because everyone is going to take something different depending on what their life journey has been. And I don't think that it's something that only Black women can listen to. I think that it is something that has information and reality for everyone. But I do think that it will be particularly nourishing for Black women, particularly those who feel, oh, it's just me. You will learn very quickly that whatever that thing is that you think is just you, it's not. It's not. And that's an important part of being able to heal and being able to move forward and be unstuck or assist someone else in their movement or break generational trauma, you know, or change the society around us. We have to know it's not just us. It is not singular what we are going through. And that in itself can be freeing. Specifically, I want us to know that our health is important, and our mental and physical health. Mental and physical health are important things to take care of, to keep clean, to nourish. Because when we don't, we end up in places where we're unable to take care of ourselves. And that's something that doesn't need to happen. So this is a space that prioritizes Black women and their health. We talk about a lot of different things. We also talk about a lot of joy. We have an episode dedicated to laughter. We talk about the bias and stigma that Black women experience daily and how it affects our health with microaggressions and things like that, but also HIV and how it is moving through our community. And that's something that people don't speak about enough. Therefore, it will continue to move through the community until we do speak about it and make it a real and vocal, viable thing, and take some of that bias and stigma off of it for those who are living with HIV and those of us who come in contact with those people, that we can all move in a space of respect and allow people the opportunity to get the information they need so that they can have access to healthcare and they can live long and fruitful lives, because that is what is happening now with HIV, with treatment. So these are all things that we're talking about, how media and entertainment can change our world if we use it in the ways that we can. I hope that people learn something new about the people that they admire, and I hope they find somebody new to admire, because I think these women are talking in this podcast. People that you know are saying things you've never heard about them before, and people that you don't know will bring you into their space in a way that you'll say, oh my goodness, let me find out more about this person. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. So that's a lot when you say, what do you think that people should take from it? A lot.
No, but everything you said was a perfect summarization. I listened to the first 2 episodes that were released, and I was going to tell you the transparency, the vulnerability, and it's very informational, because those statistics that you mentioned in the first episode about HIV, I had no clue, and we don't talk about it enough when it comes to Black women and just in our community. So yeah, there's so many different takeaways.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, that is my time. Thank you so much for this. This was a real joy this Tuesday afternoon. So I hope you have an amazing day. And thank you. Congratulations on the podcast.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yes, you too.